for our last program of the afternoon. It's a pleasure for me, and before I say introduce them, I'm keeping it short and sweet because there's a nice biographical sketch of both of them in the program. So at this time we're going to have Doug Madenford and Chris LaRose come forward and tell us about Ask a PA Dutchman.
Getting all tangled here. Oh, wait, no. I gotta be on the left.
You guys could repeat the question if it's mine.
Yeah. Well, good afternoon. My name is Doug Madenford, and this is Chris LaRose. And for those who don't know who we are, we do this thing called Ask a Pennsylvania Dutchman. I guess I should put my accent on there. I had it off for a little bit. No, that's better not.
So whenever he leaves the area, he's got to turn it off, or else.
Yeah, I get myself in trouble sometimes where I live up near State College now because when I talk like this, but they look at me funny.
Yeah, well,
So
my dad said that when he was a kid, he used to always have this PA Dutch accent, and then when he moved up to near State College, he got rid of it too because he was incognito. So.
yeah. So now I feel at home. But anyway, we do this thing called Ask a Pennsylvania Dutchman, which we started a YouTube thing, and one night had a couple of beers, and we said, let's do something for fun. And
it all started with the accent.
Well, yeah, we'll talk a little bit.
Well, for a while there were these YouTube videos called accent tags, where they'd have a list of things they'd want you to say, and you'd send them to your friend in Scotland or Jamaica or France, and they'd have them read things like, what's that one spider? It's got a real big body and long legs, and call it different things like Daddy Longleg, things like that. So we did one for Pennsylvania Dutch because we didn't feel like we had anybody representing us, and so I came to Doug one day and said, hey, let's do this. And
was that after the beer?
Both.
During.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did this, and we I don't know who we think we are. We put it online, and all of a sudden people started emailing us and saying, oh, you sound just like my grandfather, or and then I thought, hey, maybe we got something here. So then we decided, why don't we there's nothing on the internet that relates to us, the Pennsylvania Dutch, in the 21st century. There's stuff on the internet about what we did in the 1700s and the 1800s, but there's nothing now. So we thought, why don't we ask a stereotypical Pennsylvania Dutchman questions from modern day life and get their perspective. And so this is how our skit kind of evolved out of that. And for some reason, people send us questions, and we keep getting questions. We're up to almost 100 videos now. And we've been doing this live here. A couple played through the Kutztown Folk Festival, and now we're here today at the Tummelhof. So this show is completely interactive. It only works.
It's 100% dependent upon how many questions you ask.
That's
it could
right.
be 5 minutes long, could be 20 hours long.
That's right.
Keep it rolling.
And nothing is scripted. We don't do anything scripted. So it's you're gonna get, if there's something. So let's start with this question: how many of you are Pennsylvania Dutch? Look at that. We're among our people. All right. Raise your hand if you're not Pennsylvania Dutch. That's great. Maybe by the end of this we'll make you one. So we like to do this.
The rest are PA Dutch sympathize.
Associators. I learned that from that one guy
yeah, we did
out
learn
there.
that.
If you've ever had a question about Pennsylvania Dutch culture or the language or
not
history,
even the culture, just
yeah,
about anything, but you want a PA Dutch perspective on it.
Yeah, and we'll do that. Because if you don't know, the Pennsylvania Dutch can be characterized by a couple of ways. We're hardworking and honest and stubborn and a couple other things too, probably. Sharp dressers, good looking, intelligent, humble. But we like to, well, let's see, ask any
all right,
questions.
yeah, so does
Let's get this
anybody
going.
have any questions they've been holding on to for a couple of weeks, years, or something they want to?
Something you heard and you just never knew what it meant, like maybe your grandfather said a word all the time, or and you never knew what it meant, or you've heard maybe you moved here and you're like, I keep seeing Scrapple on the menu, I don't even know what the heck Scrapple is. Those are the kind of things we're here to tell you what that means. We got a question over there.
Why are we so preoccupied with swatting flies?
So why are we so preoccupied with swatting flies?
Apparently that guy's not in the know.
Yeah. Well, let's ask our resident Pennsylvania Dutchman right here.
But yeah, so a lot of people nowadays don't speak the dialect anymore, sadly.
And so we have a secret phrase.
But those of us that speak the dialect, we have this phrase that we kind of use to tell other.
No, hold on. Let's ask how many people know the phrase
Before we even say, look at this. Those are the real Dutchmen out there.
Oh yeah, well that's a good 50%.
That is good. Now we're going to inform all the uninformed brethren here in a minute what that means. So there's this phrase, and I don't know why it ever started. It's kind of stupid when you think about it. But in the dialect we say, "Kannst du mich fangen?" "Kannst du mich fangen?" which literally translates into, "Can you catch flies?" Now, if somebody knows Pennsylvania Dutch, they know the answer to the question. Ja, wann sie hocken bleiben. Ja, wann sie hocken bleiben. Yes, when they stand still, or stay still. Now, that is stupid, isn't it? You just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, can you catch flies?" And they turn to you and say, "Oh yeah, when they sit still."
Well, now if you think about it, it can mean so many different things when you say that. Because it depends on the intonation here. If I walk up to a pretty girl and say, "Hey, kannst du mich fangen?" And if she answers, then
Well,
I know
first
I
off,
found my future wife.
that's it. If she answers, it's a keeper. End of story. But what happens if she doesn't know what you said? That sounds really weird, doesn't it? Kannst du mich fangen? I don't care how sexy you make it sound. Kannst du mich fangen?
Then she's gonna be intrigued. She's like, "What's that mean?" Like,
Yeah,
well,
then
let me
what's
tell
your
you.
response going to be if she says, "Well, what? Whoa.
We've got some learning to do. Come with me.
That's, wow. Wow.
And then we go to your class, and
Yeah, there we go. So that's kind of like
First aid to a language class.
we've come to this conclusion that is one of the keys to show if someone's Pennsylvania Dutch or not. You don't have to know the rest of the dialect, but you got to know that phrase. So if somebody, you're in the store and you're walking down the aisle, and you can just walk up to somebody and say, "Hey, kannst du mich fangen?" And if they respond, well then you found a brother
oh yeah.
or a sister.
Now, if you got a situation where you're kind of like you're working on your car with your buddy, and what would a good situation be for you? How you'd say "kannst du mich fangen" for that? Because then you can like I said, you have different intonations. You're looking at me like
I have no idea what you want me to say here.
Oh man. Well,
You're working with your buddy on a car.
So imagine if we're working on a car, we got the hood open,
Yeah?
and you say if you mess something up and oil starts spewing everywhere, you know?
Yeah? Why would I want to catch flies then?
Well, I don't know.
You want to know what I'd say in Dutch if that happened?
Well, no, I feel like you could say, "Hey, kannst du mich fangen?" Or
No, that doesn't make any sense. Do you know what the heck we're doing here?
we're catching flies, but you can catch all sorts of. Okay, never mind. We got some learning to do, Douglas.
Yeah, I guess I do. We need more questions.
All right. Anybody else have a question out there? Yeah.
I've heard President Trump may have Pennsylvania German background. How is he going to relate as a Dutchman to the North Korean?
I think if we had PA Dutchman
I guess
interacting with
we
North
do have
Korean,
to-
we'd solve all the problems.
We do have to tell this. The question about President Trump's Pennsylvania Dutch roots.
What town
that
was it?
Karlstadt is the
I was
name of the
actually
town.
there. When we did this PA Dutch music tour, and I actually got to go to Karlstadt where.
So
his
President
family's from.
Trump's grandfather, I think it was, or great-grandfather, emigrated from the area of Germany where most of us Pennsylvania Dutch come from, the Rhineland-Pfalz, the Rhine Valley, that area. So yeah, his family does have roots in that region of Germany where our forefathers came from. But I don't think, I don't know how many of those traits came along and followed on the boat over. And if he sits down with, we did a video kind of about this one because we got a question one time from Rex Tillerson, the Secretary of State. Do you remember that?
Oh yeah.
Well, at least that's what the email said it was. I don't know. It looked legit. I don't know. But anyway, he talked about, how could a Pennsylvania Dutchman help solve all these world problems? And if the time comes and President Trump actually sits down across the table from this Kim Jong-un guy, well, it's Pennsylvania Dutch sensibility that's going to win the day. But you got to start it with
Red beet
It's
eggs.
all about food first. Now you gotta win them over.
I mean, there are no problems you can't solve with a couple of red beet eggs and a beer. I mean, to think about it. We're working on cars, you spew oil everywhere.
You keep coming back to this stupid car. We're trying to solve world peace now.
Well, you gotta start with the small problem.
No, I think you sit them down. The Koreans, they eat that kimchi stuff. That's just Korean sauerkraut.
Oh.
That's all it is. And so we bring a little Pennsylvania Dutch sauerkraut over and pickled red beet eggs. I mean, what? It's game over. He'll push the red button right across the table to him. Done. World
Yeah.
peace.
Red beet eggs, not red buttons.
Red beet eggs, not red buttons. I like
Yeah.
that. That's a t-shirt.
We'll
right
do
there.
them on little buttons. Who knows?
That's the best we can do. I don't know. I mean, it'd be something.
World peace, one Dutchman at a time.
That's right. That's right. Good question.
Any other questions? It could be anything. Current events, music, media, history. Yeah, what you got?
Du bist super alt en zu spät gescheit.
Yeah.
Tell
There's a phrase in Pennsylvania Dutch, du bist zu, yeah. Na, habe ich auch vergessen. Du bist zu stark alt und und zu langsam gescheit. We grow old too soon and smart too late.
Yeah.
That I totally butchered that in English. But there's a lot of truth to that. And as fast as the world goes today,
Oh yeah, nobody's keeping up nowadays.
well, you can't get smart. I think we're just getting dumber.
Some truth to that one.
I teach high school, and these kids, I don't even know what their faces look like anymore because they never look up. And when I talk to them, then they don't, what, huh, what was?
You gotta say it 3 or 4 times.
Yeah, so I think nowadays we're growing too, I don't know, how can we make that into a 21st century to fit? It's scary. It's scary.
Sag es noch einmal.
We grow too soon old and too late smart.
Oh, well, you ought to ask the audience.
We'll have to
How
think
can we?
about that.
What's a good way that we could, update that?
I don't know, we'll have to think about it.
I feel like the reason it's good is because
But
it's been since
this is
time,
a great example of
They said that
Pennsylvania Dutch
300 years ago, but
The-
now you can say it now. It's
You're
still
right,
true.
but
That's another reason why PA Dutch. I mean, that's
We have these. Our language is rich of these phrases and sayings that speak to who we are as a people, like that, or kissing where it's hot, cooking don't. That's true. You never heard that?
No, I didn't.
Come on. Kissing
I mean,
where
that's so true though.
yes.
Wow.
You better learn how to cook.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Well, the one I always liked that my old man told me is like a new broom sweeps clean. That's my favorite.
Yeah.
one.
Well, it's true.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it means different things with that too. Because an old Dutchman would say, "Hey, a new broom sweeps clean. You got to get a new one." But the older Dutchman would keep the same one going until you're sweeping with a stick. It's all about making things work as long as possible. All right, one.
Well, yeah, we are thriftful people.
We invented
We are
thriftiness.
frugality at its best.
Oh yeah.
You're right. I think my dad has a broom on the farm right now that is beyond where the actual tie around goes to keep the bristles together. And I said to one day, I said, "Pop, would you throw that on?" "That still works. It still works," he said. I said, "But no, it don't. It don't make. Look, I tried sweeping some away. It's good enough. Don't throw
I got
it away."
another 3 years yet.
That's what I mean. But it's true. We live in a throwaway culture, don't we?
Oh yeah. Well, that's why I think we need more PA Dutch in this world. Somebody came up to us and said, "Hey, we ought to go to the Tonight Show or the David Letterman." I think we should try for that because if we can spread PA Dutch past the borders, we could probably save this.
Past the borders of Lebanon County.
Yeah.
There's a lot we could teach the world.
Yeah. Well, we gotta get out there somehow. We should go on tour.
Yeah.
Buggy tour.
Buggy tour. We get there.
Well, does anybody have any other questions? Yeah.
Speaking of which, I'm from North Carolina, and actually where I'm from, we have our own dialect called hoitoid.
Hoitoid?
Hoitoid, yeah, hoitoid in the Soundsoid. But down there, people who are visiting, if they want to become an honorary North Carolinian, we give them an RC Cola with peanuts in it and a moon pie.
With peanuts in it.
Peanuts, oh yeah, I got it.
Whew.
So the question is, I bet,
The question is, do y'all have anything similar up here if somebody wants to be an honorary?
Well, that probably varies per county, huh?
an honorary Pennsylvania Dutchman, there could be a couple things I could suggest.
Gotta
One
start with
thing you
teaching
have to do, I think, this is a rite of passage. Is you have to go Elbadrich hunting.
Oh yeah.
They must know what that is.
Yeah, they're chuckling like they do.
So if you're here and you've never gone Elbadrich hunting, you're gonna learn a secret.
You
So
can meet us out in the field and we'll go together.
Elbadrich on this it's bird. This tradition we brought from the old world here to the new world when we immigrated. There's this little bird, and they hide out in the bush. And at night, you take somebody and say, "Hey, Chris, we'll go Elbadrich hunting."
Oh heck yeah.
Oh yeah. So first thing we're gonna do is it's gotta be a dark night. Most nights are, and then we maybe we'll give Chris a couple drinks ahead of time, and we'll say, "You gotta bring a sack and a stick." And we'll have a lantern. Well, I'll use a flashlight today or whatever.
I think it's better if you make them use a lantern.
I think a lantern would be
They're
good.
kind of like, with martial arts, you have like first degree, second degree. If you go with a lantern, you're already a second degree honorary Dutchman.
There we go. And we take him out in the bush and we say, "Oh, I heard something, everyone," and get him all excited. And then eventually we just let him out there and we sneak back, and then he's stuck out there in the bush all night. That's Elbadrich hunting. I think that's a rite of passage to become an honorary Pennsylvania Dutchman. Because someone born Pennsylvania Dutch, well, they know what that is already. So
Yeah, they fell for that at
it's
5
that.
years
And
ago.
then I guess the next thing they'd have to do is they would have to eat stuffed pig stomach.
Oh yeah. Well, I have a pig stomach story. So when
Because who doesn't?
well, I feel like everybody in this room ought to have one. Well, when I was a kid, they used to have these things at school where they'd have you make something that your family used to cook all the time, and then you bring it in and you share it with the class. And so I don't know if this was a joke my dad was playing on me, or if this was something he really, I don't know. So we went home and we got pig stomach, and we did all that, we put everything in there, sewed it back up, baked it, all that good stuff. And I went to school so proud because I had this stuffed pig stomach, and I was riding on the bus with this thing, like 7, 8 years old, carrying this giant pig stomach, and I get to school.
You took a stuffed pig stomach on the school bus.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't.
In what?
What?
In what?
A bag. One of the real big bags.
Like a big Ziploc bag.
Yeah. So I took this to school, and everybody looked at it. Nobody ate it.
I wonder why.
But it's so good if you think about it. I mean, they don't know what they're missing. But yeah, so I got to school, and poor little upset me with his giant stuffed pig stomach, knowing this is like God's greatest gift to man.
Yeah.
And nobody wanted to eat it, so I brought it home and ate the whole thing myself.
Can anybody pick on you?
Oh yeah. And I said, you just don't know. You're not in the inn.
For those that don't know, stuffed pig stomach, I mean, who has never had it? Maybe that's a couple of people. Why? Because it's a stomach? Now look, you eat stuff that's a lot worse than that and you don't even know it. I think. But this is another tradition that was brought over from the old country, where, the Pennsylvania Dutch, we don't, like my dad's broom, we don't throw anything away. And when we butchered, butchering was a major part of life on the farm in the 18 and 1700s and 1900s too. Well, the stomach had to be used as well. We use everything, snout to tail, And now that's becoming popular again, this farm to table and all that stuff. But anyway, you take the stomach and you clean it, and then we stuff it. And this could, depends where you're from and might be different ingredients. But what I grew up with was smoked sausage and potatoes, celery, carrots, onions, a couple of herbs and spices, and then you sew it. You sew the ends shut, the in and the out. You sew them shut, and then you bake it, or you boil it, either way. And then sometimes it's pan fried to get the skin good and crispy. I don't know better. When you cut that open, I don't know. Is there anything better than that?
Ooh, they should do car air fresheners that smell like stuff. Can you imagine that instead of a little tree, it's just a little pig?
That's what you had on the frickin' bus when you went to school that day. You should have opened the bag.
I mean, I could have made friends if they were worth making.
Yeah, you'd have made friends. Yeah, that's right. No, but it's a delicacy, and a pig only has one stomach, so you don't eat it all that often. It's a treat. It's a special treat, which speaks a lot about the food of the Pennsylvania Dutch.
Oh yeah.
We already talked about red peat eggs, and God, all they're wonderful, and the pig stomach. And of course, we can't have a discussion without scrapple.
Oh yeah.
We got to talk about that. And the uninformed.
This might be where the audience divides, because if we bring up the ketchup or syrup or
Apple butter.
yeah, the room's gonna split.
But for those that don't know, what's scrapple? Well, scrapple is everything. When you're butchering, what's left, you cook it all together with cornmeal and some herbs and spices, and it gets into it. It looks pretty sick, I'll admit. It looks like a gray pudding that's hot. And then you put it in loaf pans and chills, and it gets hard, and then you fry it up in the morning. There's nothing better for breakfast than that. Your arteries thank you.
Can you imagine? Now think of this. Can you imagine a better meal than stuffed pig stomach, scrapple, red beet eggs, and Diefenbach potato chips?
We have a Diefenbach in the audience.
Can I get an amen?
No, because you know why Diefenbach potato chips are so good? Because they're cooked in lard.
Because they use everything.
Because they use everything. They use the whole potato. No, we have good food. It's rustic, it's rural, it's not for everybody. I think a lot of people who come from the outside come to Pennsylvania Dutch country and they look at our food and they, I don't know.
Well, I mean, how is it any different from the French with their eating snails and stuff?
It's not. It's not.
Except ours is better.
That's right. A lot better.
I've got a question. Does anybody like peanut butter and leavened bologna sandwich?
Peanut butter and leavened bologna sandwich. I have never heard of that. Is that a thing?
For that guy, it is. You're not weird. Well, Lebanon, bologna. That look where we are. We're in Lebanon. It's Lebanon, by the way. It's not, they got an extra syllable when they spell it in English. I don't know where that comes from. But yeah, Lebanon bologna. That's Pennsylvania Dutch.
Yeah, I was just looking up the history. I think they said they invented that back in 1850s or something.
I don't know.
We'll have to ask Google.
We'll have to ask the Google.
Professor Google. Oh, well, yeah, we got a question over here.
No, it wasn't a question. I was going to say the woman from North Carolina said they give him a moon pie. Well, obviously, you'd have to give him a whoopie pie.
Yeah, it would have to be a whoopie
yeah.
pie. Yeah. Oh yeah, I didn't finish my initiation ritual. I just got started. You had to take them Eldritch
That's just
hunting
the first
and pig
day.
stomach. Yeah, that's just the first day. It's a year-long process to become a Dutchman. This isn't just like you're joining the Rotary or something and getting a
It
card.
proves the commitment.
That's right. We only want the committed people.
Yeah.
That's right.
Well, you were just talking about.
Will they have to go then see a groundhog on Groundhog Day?
Oh, well, yeah, too. Well, like you were saying with commitment, I think that's a good PA Dutch trait because you were just talking about your grandparents celebrating their 71st
Yeah.
anniversary. See, that's kind of the thing that you don't
Well, that's because they said 20 years ago it'd be tougher to get divorced, so we'll just stay together.
Like I said,
Commitment.
Or the stubbornness. I don't know which one
Yeah.
that is.
It's about what it is. Schaapkeppig, yeah?
Yeah.
As we say.
Yeah, I have a suggestion as well.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Was it?
I have another suggestion about what to give.
Ooh, yes.
Apparently, there's a plethora of broomsticks in the area, since they never get thrown away.
They don't.
So, number one, you could give it to a tourist. Number two, instead of picking up a stick, you could use it when you go Dutch.
There we go for Eldritch hunting.
Well, that's how it. I mean, my grandparents, they would save everything. So we do have a closet full of broomsticks. I'm not kidding, for real. This is the kind of thing you can't make up. So we had a closet full of broomsticks because you can use those for all sorts of stuff. And you know how if you have a tablet of paper and you use up all the paper, but then you still have that little cardboard thing? So I got a drawer full of those because you never know. You can write notes on those, and then when you use that up, you can roll it up and squish it underneath your table so it stops rocking back and forth. I mean, it's all about making sure everything lasts as long as possible.
Yeah.
You never know where
You
you're
take the pad from the back of the pad and then you make it so your table
Well, it's
hit
just
wobbly.
such a good piece of cardboard.
Oh, no,
you can't throw that away.
yeah, you're right.
Oh man.
What else?
Yeah. So, any more questions? Yeah.
I'd like to know what a PA Dutchman thinks about something like Dirty Jobs with Mike Rowe. What kind of dirty jobs?
We invented that.
Yeah, well, it just comes down to one thing. People watch that show and they're like, oh my God, I can't believe people do that, blah, blah. It's just called working. It's like, that's what you have to do.
I didn't know they could make a TV show out of working, but I didn't think we could.
Well,
make a
I
TV show
think
out of
the Pennsylvania Dutch, most of us have agricultural background, and hard work was part of it. That's how we were successful. And his work ethic is something really strong among the Pennsylvania Dutch, and that's something I'm really proud of. That's part of our culture. But, we had some dirty jobs. I mean, if there was like a Pennsylvania Dutch version of that show, well, I don't even know where you can start. I mean, there's a lot of dirty things on the farm. It reminds me, John Deere stands behind all of their equipment except their manure spreader. That's smart. Do you have an idea for is there a certain dirty job that you know of that Pennsylvania?
Oh, the guy that gets the pig stomachs.
Yeah, I wouldn't want that. The guy that has to clean a pig stomach. That's not an easy job to do.
It's usually a woman.
Yeah, and they do it right. That's
The men don't have the stomach for it.
Wow.
Oh, that's why you bring me.
That's why I bring you. Yep. What else?
Hey, we got one.
My great-grandmother used to do powwowing. One of the incantations she used to say was Haley, Haley, Inkadrek, is fallacy and all that stuff.
Yeah. Chicken poop. Yeah, so powwowing, that's something we can talk a little bit about.
Yeah.
So powwowing is traditional healing. And there are people that still do it. Not everybody believes in it. Some people do, some people don't. I know personally, my family, growing up, I never knew anybody that did powwowing or anything like that. My family never talked about it. But then I met a lot of Pennsylvania Dutch people that do and swear by it. And there are people that go around, in the dialect we call them braucha, if it's a guy, brauchen, and if it's a female. And they go around and they're essentially like a homeopathic style doctor. And there are these, sometimes there's, I don't want to call them spells, that's not the right word, but sayings that they would use when they're healing somebody.
Oh, that was my grandma for
removing-
sure. She even had the book that she would hide in the back of the bookshelf there. You know, what's funny is I grew up kind of really confused what powwowing was because of my dad's side of the family. Well, my grandfather's side of the family was French Canadian and Mohawk Native American, so we had Native American powwows. And then my grandma's side had the PA Dutch powwows, so I was really confused as to which one was which because they're completely different. But
Did she ever powwow you?
not that I remember, but that might have been part of the thing. I don't know. She used to have the book, and she had these miracle remedies. If there was something wrong with you, she would go into the kitchen and mix all sorts of stuff up together. And a stomach remedy. If you had a stomach ache or something, she'd go mix some kind of peppermints and spearmints and who knows what else comes back and works better than Pepto-Bismol. It's amazing.
Do you think maybe we need to bring powwowing back more mainstream, and then these
yeah.
pharmaceutical companies wouldn't be making so much money?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but then the pharmaceutical companies would want to get their hands on the
They
books.
could never do it though.
Yeah, that's true.
We would hold all the keys.
You gotta be an honorary Dutchman to get the book.
It'd be like, not Obamacare, but it'd be Pennsylvania Dutch Care or something like that.
We need a good
Powwow Care, I don't know.
I'm gonna come up with it.
But that's still done. I think a lot of people don't realize that even in 2018 America, there are still powwowers that go around and that will do healings and blessings. They also do blessings on houses and things like that. They have stuff to remove a wart. The list is endless, really. But it's still a part of the culture that's around today. Interesting enough, 300 some years later. Because we don't give anything up. And maybe because it works.
And if it
works,
doesn't work, then we'll keep going till
it does, right, yep.
Well, what else? What else we got? So this like I said, this is a all Ask a Dutchman show, so if you get to determine how long you want it.
Otherwise, we have to tell dumb jokes.
Yeah, we got dumb jokes. Yeah, what you got back there?
What's the progress on your presidential campaign for 2020?
Oh, jeez.
It's still running. We got to collect all the signatures, but we're doing it.
Jokingly, a while back, we made this Facebook page. It was him and I were running in 2020 because we were sick and tired of all the crap that was happening in 2016. And just like everything else, we're like, this is stupid, but we'll do it anyway. And no one will care about it. Well, then all these people started liking it. And then they wanted bumper stickers and shirts. And no matter, we didn't have any budget to begin with. So we just say stupid things on there, and then people are like, that's right, that's exactly what we need in Washington, D.C. Well, I don't even know where... I'm to the point now where I think if we don't run, then something's going to happen to us.
Well, how many signatures are we going to need? Don't
Well, a hell of a lot more than what we got, I'll tell you that much.
We're gonna have to do
What?
that.
What? No one in Nevada's gonna vote for us.
You don't know
You gotta
that.
go the whole. If you're going president, you need
We'll
the
just
whole
send them a
country.
couple of the videos talking about how, I don't know.
Oh yeah, you send somebody in Nevada a video about Lebanon bologna, they're gonna be like, that's the guy I want in the White
You gotta
House.
send them a video and a piece of Lebanon bologna. And
Oh,
no
this-
brown sugar.
isn't that bribing? You can't do that.
Not new. Somebody else does. At least we're doing it with bologna.
If we could get just at one,
They'll
could
know
you-
we're full of
you know,
it, I mean-
whether we would never be successful, but how great would it be if we could actually make it to the point where when they have the debates, you're at the vice presidential one with the big time people,
Oh,
and
yeah.
I'm at the one with the presidential candidate. I mean, and could you imagine what?
Now,
we
what
could
kind of
do?
question would they ask?
Well, they'd ask policy questions, all kind of stuff. But
Well,
I
what's
throw
your answer gonna be then?
something stupid, but it'll work.
Well, like, what's one of the questions that they ask?
Well, think about it. It's going to
We'll
be taxes
we'll do
or
a practice
public
round.
education or something like that. Or, where do you stand on Syria? It's like, I don't stand on Syria. I'm standing in Pennsylvania. I don't know. I'm telling you, America would. That's all we need. We just need people. We need 5 minutes of people's time. They fall in love with us.
Oh yeah. Well, let's do a practice round quick. We'll ask you one or two questions of how you're going to answer for the debate.
So this is at the actual presidential debates 2020.
Yeah.
Go ahead, ask me something.
All right. Somebody ask a
Oh,
question.
shit.
I don't know what they ask. I don't watch those. They stress me out. So, if what is your foreign policy plan? How do you want to interact with the outside world?
Well, we have everybody come and sit down over a nice meal of whatever, something Pennsylvania Dutch. We'll have our 7 sweets and our 7 sours on the table, and that shows balance and equity.
That's very zen.
God damn right. And then nobody's gonna hate each other anymore, and we're gonna stand up, all shake hands, and say, "This has been a great meeting." We'll end with shoe fly pie and a cup of coffee, and it's done. It's done.
All right. So I hear a lot of people complaining about taxes. What would your solution to the tax issue be? Don't hurt yourself.
I have to research that more. How about an answer like that?
You
I
are
won't be
sounding like a
lying. I won't be
politician,
lying.
yeah.
I won't be
Well,
lying.
that's true. You are a good president. I'm voting for it.
There we go. Thanks, buddy. Write me in.
Anybody else? Any other questions?
What would his policy be on gun reform?
Oh my God.
Oh, we opened up a can of worms there. Well, I mean, in my family, we all grew up with guns, and we only ever used them for hunting. So, I don't know. What would our situation be? We just teach everybody how to hunt, and then they'll know.
Sure. There we go.
Classes.
We'll play it safe and say that.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. But I think we'll avoid the super controversial stuff today.
Well, I mean, if you think about it, when my dad was a kid, the only meat that they ever ate, because they didn't grow up on a farm or anything, the only meat they ever ate, they had to go hunt for. So my dad would come home.
How long ago did your dad? They had supermarkets in the 1950s.
Well, no, they didn't have a lot of money.
Oh, sorry.
So yeah, they'd go out and buy, and this is how it worked. They would go buy a box of shells,
Yeah.
shotgun shells.
Yeah.
And my grandfather would give my dad 1 shotgun shell and said, "Come back with a pheasant." And so he'd go out, and if he missed, he caught some serious earfuls of something. But if he came back with a pheasant, then he'd get 1 more shell and he'd go back out. And so they'd have dinner and they'd eat all wild game. And then he also worked on the migrant farm, so he'd bring back vegetables because he got paid in vegetables.
But you didn't have to shoot them.
No, I mean he could. Those tomatoes roll quick.
Yeah. Your dad had it rough.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
You make it sound like he grew up in like colonial America.
Well, here's another story. So the house that I live in right now over in Myerstown is the house that my grandma's side of the family landed on when they got here from Germany way back in the early 1800s. So I still have the property that they lived on. So when my dad was a kid, they grew up in a tiny little log cabin on the lawn that was maybe 15 by 15, and they had 1 light bulb and 1 electrical outlet. And they had an outhouse, and they actually had to go out to the well to get water and everything.
What's an outhouse? We'll come back to that.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think that's part of the honorary Dutchman. You gotta use an outhouse.
At night in the winter.
Yeah.
With no paper.
That's really testing your mettle there.
These 2 old hunters were out hunting the one day, and they sat down, first day of buck season, so they're all excited, and they sit down in the woods, and the one leans to the other and says, "Oh, geez, I gotta go to the bathroom." And the guy said, "Well, we're in the woods, just go find a tree somewhere and go behind it." He goes, "I don't have any paper." And the guy said, "Do you have $1?" "Yeah, I will use that." Okay, so he traipses off, and after it takes like 10-15 minutes, this guy comes back, and he's all smeared up, and I mean smeared up. It's on his face, his hands, his hunting coat. Oh my God, he looks like something happened, like something exploded or something. And the guy said, "Hari, yes, it's no Gamal, what happened to you?" And the guy said, he said, "Didn't you use your $1?" And the guy said, "Yeah, I did, but you try wiping yourself with 3 quarters, 2 dimes, and a nickel."
Does that mean we're gonna have a change bucket in the outhouse?
The Pennsylvania Dutch sense of humor is, I've heard it referred to as earthy.
That is earthy, yeah.
A lot of our jokes do tend to be, gross, can be sometimes. I guess it depends.
Well, some of them don't work in English either.
Yeah, some jokes don't work in English. That's right. It's just the way that it is.
You have one in Dutch you want to do?
One in Dutch?
Yeah.
To hear the dialect. Oh, man. Let me think about that.
What about that one about the strawberries in the city?
And you want this in Pennsylvania Dutch?
Yeah.
Alright, so een man was van Grijswijk en er staat ook van een bank. Er waren banken wat aan hokken en die machine was voorbij voor. En alle Amishman met een halve Mist is voorbij komen. Der Mann da hat gesagt, "Hey, alle Mann, was tust du mit deinem Mist?" Und der Amishman hat gesagt, "Ei, du es auf mein Airberry." Horribly! Ich do Zucker auf meins!
So how many of you folks speak PA Dutch? So we got a couple.
So the joke translates as this old guy sitting at a 4-way stop, and an Amishman comes with a load of manure, and this old guy says, "Hey, what are you doing with all that manure?" And he says, "I'm putting it on my strawberries." And the other guy says, "That's funny, I put sugar on mine." Yeah, we tell a lot of poop jokes in Pennsylvania Dutch. That's just the way that it is. It's part of life. It's one of the first things you do.
Might as well laugh at first.
That's exactly right. You can't stop. Right.
Oh man. Does anybody else know any good PA Dutch jokes?
Well, I'm sure we got to be careful now.
Oh yeah. That could be another can of worms. Well, how about some more questions?
Yeah, we got questions.
Yeah.
How are you going to get the woman's vote in your election?
Tell them how you win women over.
This is a trick, and you got to be careful with who you share this with, because it's so effective that you could catch a lot of problems here. So the trick is to winning a woman's heart, and it works for me every time. Is you learn how to play the banjo, and on the first date, just hey, you want to learn how to play banjo. So what you do is you just give them the banjo and you let them strum on it because it's a really cool thing. And then the closing move is like, "Oh, that's not how you do it. Let me show you." And then you reach your arm around and then you play the banjo. And then they're hooked from that minute.
You've done that.
Oh yeah.
How many times?
Enough to know it works.
So you ever hit?
Enough to know it
works.
So yeah, I think to get the woman's vote, I think we just nail banjos to them.
Yeah, we just have video of you playing banjo. Tell them.
What's that?
Are you married?
No, I got hit one too many times. I gotta work on my game. I was showing them the wrong chords or something.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's it. Just haven't found the right one yet.
Well, yeah, so I'm just gonna walk around and say, "Hey, can't you make it fun?"
Yeah. With your banjo.
With my banjo?
Yeah.
Can't you make it fun? Oh, man. Anybody else? We got a couple of... What? How much time we got?
We got some time.
We got time left, huh? Oh yeah, we got tons of it. All right. So any questions? We're gonna make Doug tell another joke.
Go.
Yeah.
I have a question from Michael Werner.
Michael Werner. Oh, Michael.
Like, is he like live?
We're like interacting this whole day.
Uh-oh.
He's here with me in spirit.
Okay, Michael Werner. For those who don't know, if you're interested in all the dialect, he is a German who did his PhD in Pennsylvania Dutch literature. And he is extremely active in helping preserve the dialect and our culture, even though he lives across the ocean. But he's a great guy. So, got a good friend of ours, actually. Uh-oh.
Yeah.
So what's he want to know?
ready?
I'm always
Okay.
ready.
Why is it always either or in the U.S.? In Germany, it's mostly as well and as. We like compromises.
Oy, oy, oy.
Oh, wow.
Michael.
It's gotta be the stubbornness thing.
Yeah, it's the
just too
stubbornness.
stubborn as people.
Hey, we did a video one time about grudges. I don't think anybody can hold a grudge better than the Pennsylvania
I
Dutch.
mean, how can you
Didn't
hold
you
a
say
grudge
you're
if
holding a
said-
grudge on the fourth generation now? The same
Yeah.
grudge? You don't even know who the heck the first person was.
I'm grudging something.
That's right.
It's part of my character now. It's just how I interact with the world.
Yeah, we are. Well, it's because, people don't realize it, but we do things right.
In a long time.
And the sooner other people figure that out, the better it is.
Yeah, if they would just learn.
We have a saying
have
in
no
Pennsylvania
problem.
Dutch, it says, if it was done by a Dutchman, then it's done right. Or if you want it done right, have a Dutchman do it.
Oh yeah, that makes sense.
So why should we compromise?
Is that part of your political campaign?
No. But and I think it speaks to, we can be stubborn, that's for darn sure. Yes, we can.
So it's either or and as well.
Yeah. Yeah, the Germans,
Well, that's interesting.
Well, here's what happened.
It must be
You got to go back. You go back 10 generations, or and whenever there were two brothers in Germany, and the one said, "I'd like to work with you," and the other one said, "I want to do it my way," and he got on the boat and came over, and the other one stayed.
Well, that's probably
what
the answer. I
happened.
think that's it.
Yeah, that's it.
And we're all here. We're the ones that left. You got to think about this. This is no joke. You got to think about it. Our ancestors that came over. That was a really tough decision to do.
Oh, yeah.
And the journey was hard. It had to be a certain kind of person to say, "That's it. I'm pulling up stakes and moving on."
Well, now
to
here's
somewhere they had no idea where they were going to.
Now here's a chicken or the egg question. Were all of us like that, or was it the trip over that made us stubborn and committed?
Well, I think it was a little bit of both.
Yeah.
It took a certain person to get on the boat in the first place.
Yeah.
But then it took somebody else to survive it, too.
Did they pack Lebanon bologna sandwiches?
You had to. Could you imagine how many you would have had to pack for that?
Well, here's another
That's
story.
a long trip.
When my dad was a kid, they had all these nuclear bomb threats and everything because of Russia and all that stuff. So he said, "Pop, can I build
A fallout shelter?
a fallout shelter?" And he's like, "Yeah, go out and start digging." So my dad grabbed a shovel, and he went and started digging a hole. And he kept digging a hole until he got sick of it, and he's like, "You know what, I'm just going to run away instead." And so my dad was laying there in his hole. Oh, I'm not making this up, he's laying there in his hole.
So he didn't run away. He
No,
just sat in the hole.
He was in the planning stages, because
Oh,
that's the plan. So he's laying in the hole that he just dug, planning to run away, and he just figured out where he was going to go. And he's like, "I wonder how many Lebanon bologna sandwiches I'm going to have to pack to do it." And he figured it would at least be 20.
To go how far?
It doesn't matter. I mean, like if you
That's how far he was going. That's how we're measuring
Well, if
stuff?
you measured time and distance.
So if Google Maps was in Pennsylvania Dutch, it would be like if you put in like
You're
Lebanon
12
and
sandwiches
you're 12
away.
sandwiches away.
Yeah. So it's like if you think about it, for us to come down from Lock Haven State
Well,
College.
today I had a drive of about 14 Lebanon bologna sandwiches.
Yeah.
You are.
And then if you subdivide that, 11 bologna sandwich is probably the equivalent of about 35 minutes, right? So a red beet egg makes about 5 to 7 minutes. It's a conversion chart we're going to put out for you, so you know.
I don't know why I keep you around.
I don't know, either. Because I don't go away.
That's right. Yeah. Did your dad ever run away then?
I don't think he did. He just ate a lot of Lebanon bologna sandwiches.
There you go. Well, we have a little bit of time left. Anybody else that has any questions? Otherwise, we can.
Yeah.
What would break your stubbornness?
My wife.
That's pretty accurate. About the only.
Yeah, she is able to do that. Well, I think eventually, I guess it's common sense. Sometimes you have to admit you're wrong. And that's hard.
It happened once.
It happened once, yeah. Just last week, actually.
Is there a story with that one?
No, I don't want to talk about that one.
She'll hear about it.
Yeah, if people in Germany know what the heck's going on as I'm speaking, my wife, I'm sure, knows for sure. Big Brother's always watching, right? No, I think sometimes you encounter things that make you say, "Oh, wait a minute, maybe that wasn't the best thing." And we're stubborn, but we're not dumb. I mean, we get this moniker, the dumb Dutchman. But again, I go back to history and say, those people that called us that, they would have been able to survive on the farm, and we could. So now who's dumb? It reminds me of this story. Did you know, this is about between the world wars, these two guys from Philadelphia had heard how great Pennsylvania Dutch meat was. So they drove up from Philly and they were going to, I don't want to have to pay the butcher and all that stuff. Let's do it ourselves. So they get in a truck and they drive from Philly up to Kutztown and they buy 2 pigs from a Pennsylvania Dutch farmer. Throw them in the back of the truck. And they think they're, we buy, cut all you dumb Dutchmen out, we got your pigs, we're taking them back to Philadelphia. And they're driving down 476 and it's jumbling and bumbling. And the one guy says, hey, which pig's yours and which one's mine? And the guy said, geez, I don't know. Pull over, I have an idea. So he pulled over real quick and he jumped out of the truck and he had a pocket knife on him and he snipped just the tip of the ear off the one. He got back in the truck, he says, the one with the nipped ear, that's mine, you have the other one. Okay, off they go. Boom, 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 down the road. After a while, the pigs start fighting with each other. You know, pigs fight sometimes. And the one that had the nipped ear went and bit the ear of the other one and had the exact same knot. The pigs looked identical now. They both had nipped ears. Like, oh, yumma, yay, what are we going to do now? I don't know. I got an idea. Pull over real quick. So he pulled over, and the guy got it, took his sock measure, his pocket knife out, and he nipped the top of the tail off the one. He goes, the one with the nipped tail is mine, blah, blah. Yeah, okay, down the road they go. Son of a gun, these pigs started fighting again. And wouldn't you know it, nipped the other tail off. Now they're like, what are we gonna do? I don't know, let's just keep driving. So they're driving. After a while, the one guy leans over and goes, I got an idea. You take the white one, I'll take the black one. Now who's the dumb Dutchman, huh? Who's dumb now?
Well, there are all sorts of really ingenious ways that we Dutchmen figure things out. Like, I like the one, we like making fun of city people for some reason.
The Dutch do.
Oh, yeah. Well, I think the one about how we invented the two-story barn, you know? Like, if you think about it, you want to get all your stuff up on the top floor of the barn, right? Most people think, oh, we got to get ladders, we got to get stairs, let's build a ramp. Well, the PA Dutch, they just build it on a hill. Walk up the hill and roll stuff right into the second one. Isn't that cool?
Yeah?
Yeah. Brilliant. Brilliant. And now the rest of the world does it. See, we invented it.
Our Pennsylvania Dutch bank barn.
Yeah.
You're saying, oh, no, that's true. We did pioneer that. Yeah.
Yeah. Genius.
It was smart, yeah. I didn't know it was that big of a deal, but yeah. You're saying before we built that barn, it was all steps. Like no one had that idea before. I don't know. We'll take credit for it.
Yeah, that's ours. Well, any question we got? Hey, another one.
If not.
Hey, so in the high tide dialect, and that's the Eastern North Carolina way of saying high tide.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
My favorite word is cattywampus.
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 Yeah.
And that means something that's kind of skewed, like an old barn that's kind of leaning, a little bit
Shep.
off the frame. Yeah. I was wondering, what was the word in PA Dutch?
Well, the word like that would be shep, I would say. Something's off kilter or crooked a little bit. That is a shep. What are other words out there? I don't know. I'd have to think about that. What? Verdrate, yeah, verdrate, verhuddle. Verhuddle is what we use when, yeah, I like verhuddle when we talk about people, though. That's a great dialect word. When you're verhuddled, that means you're all mixed up and messed up, and why it's easy to say, oh, he's a little verhuddled, you know? It's a good, yeah. Krum would be crooked too, yeah. Krum and broad, straight and crooked, yeah. Shep. Good. I like verhuddle. Take that back to North Carolina. Test your friends. Verhuddle.
What's your theory on Russian?
On Rutsching. I like the Rutsch. I'll keep this PG. Yeah, that's another great Pennsylvania Dutch word that made its way into the English here in this region of Pennsylvania. Rutsch comes from the Pennsylvania Dutch word to slide, or to yeah, that's what rutschen in standard German, it's rutschen, to slide. And we have this, you know, if somebody can't sit still, they're always rutsching in their seat, and you have people that maybe don't speak the whole dialect, but they know that word. They say, put your rutschen. But we also use it when you go on the road. We're going on the rutsch to go drive somewhere. I think it's a great word, and it's so much better than. I mean, English doesn't even have that. You got someone that's like not sitting still in their chair. What do you say in English?
Rutsch.
Yeah, well, yeah, right. Quit moving around. It just doesn't have the same.
Well, I always like those
oomph.
words that mean 5 or 6 different things at a time. They're my favorite. Just like that one.
Oh yeah, because you can use it in different ways.
Yeah.
But I think there's so many words in the dialect that are like that. There's not a right English. There's not just a good English for it. Rutsch, that's a great one.
Well, now what's another one?
Schusslich. Thank you. Grex. Yeah, Grexa. To complain about something. Swati. Look at this. It's like rain. There's great Pennsylvania Dutch words like Nixnuts.
Yeah.
Wunnerfits.
We ought to be writing these things down.
They make dictionaries, you know.
Oh, wow. I'm pretty sure we invented that too. Yeah, but if we had a dictionary of all words that mean a bunch of different things, I mean, it would be like 3 pages long. Because you cover everything you need to know. If you want to have like the word for moving, you say rutschen.
We have those.
No, I'm talking about the simplified one. It's like you
with like 5 words in it.
Yeah, you know, all the essential words that mean everything. You could say a million different things with the same 5 words.
You start working on that.
I'm the idea man.
You are the idea man. Sometimes they're good.
Oh man, that cuts deep.
Sometimes they're not.
So if we have any other questions? How much time we got left?
We should probably start wrapping it up here, buddy.
We got 3:36.
What time are we going till? I guess till all questions are
Well, no, they're eventually going to kick us on. Remember the last time we went?
And we'll refuse to go.
Yeah, right.
Doug,
Yes.
when I was a kid, there was a comic book, that was of course a long time ago, called Katzenjammer Kids. It was a Sunday comic in the newspaper. Is there Katzenjammer, or however you pronounce it, in the dialect? And what would it mean, Katzenjammer?
Katzenjammer comes from Standard German. Jammere, we have it in Pennsylvania Dutch too, is to make a lot of noise, or to make a lot of noise. And Katzen is cats in Standard German. In Pennsylvania Dutch we say Katz or Katze. So yeah.
Short.
Yeah, and short, when it's lowercase, then it becomes short. This is Katz, it's short. So I would imagine that we have Katzejammer. I don't know if the dialect uses that phrase or not, but Yammer we do. I mean, I've used that word a lot. My parents yelled that at me quite a lot when I was a kid. Yeah, I wasn't the quietest kid growing up. I don't know.
Well, I remember how we have words that mean different things. When I went to Germany, I was used to saying the word schwätzen for speaking, and I didn't realize I was insulting a whole lot of Germans when I said schwätze or schwitz, and apparently that means somebody that talks way too much.
So that was apropos.
So isn't that kind of interesting that the PA Dutch have schwätzen, but in High German it's speaking way too much? And I'm telling you what, we Dutchmen know how to talk a lot.
Some of us, yeah. Some more than others.
Yeah. Is that a PA Dutch trait too? Is that something that you gotta talk nonstop for
No, I don't
20
think so.
minutes for an honorary Dutchman?
Well, we could make them do something like that. We can make them do it. There's no rule book. We can do whatever we want.
We don't want to tell them there's no rule book. I mean, that's kind of ruins the allure there.
That's true.
All right.
Well, if there's nothing, last chance.
Weet u nog even zorgen,
I have one thing. Our daughter got us an Echo Dot for Christmas.
What's that?
It's one of those. It's one of those. It's one of those home.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, it's this little gadget
Yeah.
about this.
And you
big,
can talk.
it
You
looks
can
like a
talk to
hot-
it, right?
And you can say, Alexa, what's the temperature
Yeah,
in
yeah,
Burnville,
yeah.
Pennsylvania? And
Yeah.
it'll say, the temperature right now in Burnville, Pennsylvania is 42 degrees. Anyway, I just found out that Alexa speaks different languages. And you can say, Alexa, what's window in German?
Yeah.
And she'll say, the word for window in German is Fenster. And I was thinking, wouldn't this be great if Alexa could speak Pennsylvania Dutch?
Oh, yeah.
Sounds like we need to write some emails.
So now we got a list. We got to get our signatures for the presidency. We got to get on signatures for the Tonight Show.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Got to write.
Yeah, we got to write Amazon.
that does
Yep.
it? Yeah. Now, what if we did?
It couldn't be called Alexa though if it was a Dutch.
What if you were it?
It'd have to be Becky.
What if it?
Becky. What's the weather like outside?
And what would she say?
Why, the weather outside 62 degrees.
No, auf Deutsch. Auf
Das
Deutsch.
Wetter draußen ist 62 Grad.
Yeah, I like that one. I think we're onto something.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
We'll get on that. Thanks,
ideas
Carol.
coming all out of the woodwork. and everything.
I'm sure they'll get right on.
I'm sure they will too, absolutely. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure here performing for you guys today. If you liked what you saw, thank you. You can find us on YouTube if you search my last name, Madenford. There's not a lot of us out there. I have a YouTube channel dedicated to all Pennsylvania Dutch stuff. This stuff we're doing here, but also educational videos on the dialect, learning the dialect, vocabulary, grammar, cultural videos as well, historical videos. So check it out. It's all free. And we write for Hiwwe Wie Driwwe, the newspaper that's published twice a year in Pennsylvania Dutch. And send us emails. We'd love to hear from you. And we'll be performing at the Kutztown Folk Festival this summer on the main stage 2 or 3 times. We also play music in the dialect as well. So we do parties and bar mitzvahs. Well, we haven't done a bar mitzvah. We'll do one if you want us to.
I don't think there's too many Dutch ones.
Don't forget you're an author.
Oh, well. Yeah, I have a couple books out there as well, a textbook to help you learn Pennsylvania Dutch. So if you're someone that has always wanted to learn, or you have a niece or a granddaughter or something like that wants to learn, check out Masthof Press. They have a lot of great materials for Pennsylvania Dutch learning. You can access my stuff there, but there are a lot of other great things out there too. You don't have to buy my books by any stretch of the imagination. And but check us out online. We'd love to come back next year if at all possible.
And if you have any questions that you forgot to ask today, or it comes to you, 4 in the morning, you think, oh man, I should ask that one, you can always send us an email, because we do the Ask a Pennsylvania Dutchman on YouTube, and we'll answer those.
And all kidding aside, this is the one message that, the reason we do this, and all that we do, is because we were lucky enough to grow up with grandparents that spoke the dialect and parents that spoke the dialect with us, and we were raised with pork and sauerkraut on New Year's and Fosnacks in February and the Belschnickel coming to our houses. And we feel that the culture and the language is very much alive, even though a lot of people think it's dying. It's never going to die as long as the Amish and the Mennonite are around, because their population doubles every 20 years. That's true. That's not a joke. We need to work on that, I think. But anyway, we do this to preserve it and to carry it on for future generations, so that 40 years from now, people will realize
That's a
that
new language preservation tactic I never thought of.
Oh yeah, it works. It works.
I'm doing this for the culture.
Yeah. But all kidding aside, if you speak Pennsylvania Dutch, or even if you know just a couple words, tell it to your kids, tell it to your grandchildren, tell it to your nieces and nephews. Even if they only learn Wunderfitz or Nicksnuts, you're passing something on that we've had for 300 years here in Pennsylvania, and we hope to have it for years and years to come. And that's why we do this stupid stuff that we do. But there's a message behind it, that we have a very rich culture and history, one that has influenced American history over the course of our nation's history, and in fact, influential at many points in our history. So be proud of being Pennsylvania Dutch. I'm extremely proud of that, and I'm not afraid to tell it to people, and I'm not afraid to speak Pennsylvania Dutch at Sheetz or in the grocery store, and if somebody tells me to shut up, I'll turn around and say, "Kannst du megaphone?" I probably say something other than that.
Different meanings?
But embrace who we are. We have a very rich culture and history to share, and it's all part of the American quilt that we live in. Thanks again for allowing us to come down here to Lebanon today and do this shtick for you.
Yes, thank you very much for
Yeah, and hopefully we'll see you somewhere down the road. Max
Max